And it was told to the pen, write. I am aware that in my writings, I mostly proceed with memories of my childhood and youth, which are left behind and sometimes even I have forgotten. But this situation, which makes me feel like I have entered a time tunnel, makes me feel good. Do you know, along with you, I am getting to know me from 40 years ago. All over again, trying to figure it out, and am often surprised. Nowadays, no one can say that I don't have fun when those strange things that I said I would never do come to light one by one. Here is one of them. Even in primary school, I had an unusual fondness for the smells of pencils, notebooks, and books. This can also be viewed as a kind of addiction to Bali. Fresh out of its package, my new reading books printed on glossy paper, my new notebooks put in my bag for the first week of the year and school preparations, and my new pencils that I started collecting to create a collection. I guess the smells of each of them were making at my brain an unknown endorphin hormone or something that I was can't standing to see them. Only now, I am able to realizing that it looks strange from the outside, but that was completely the situation in those years. When primary school ended and middle school years began, my collection had expanded considerably and the large nylon bag in which I kept them began to get heavier as the number of pencils increased. The fact that I bought pens in different colors, models, and shapes with the money I saved probably had attracted the attention of the stationer. But I don't think it bothers him much. Every time as I came home from school, I would take them out of the bag in the living room, string them on the floor like a rope, and watch them for minutes. I don't know which other people with strange habits will get the pleasure I got from that image, but my pens were my only little world that others didn't know about, and they were my little bullet soldiers. I don't guess I was aware of why I chose to collect pens rather than coins or letter stamps like everyone else in those years. But in the following years, those pens were knowing would take action to scribble something, even if it was symbolic. I think they were knowing, or maybe the soul was knowing something, and that's why the ones get sucked into the pens. We were two different souls living in the same house with my brother, who was only 1 year younger than me. In fact, since there was only a month difference between our birth dates and we grew up like twins, I perceived him as my twin, not my brother, for many years. I was a tidy and orderly person. He was a mess. I was determined. He was an officious. I was frugal. He was wasteful. Years later, as adults, we of course love each other very much, but in those years, our biggest fights would start because of my bullet soldiers. Every time he would lose his pencil at school, found my secret treasure, take the best one and start using it. He was probably making many efforts for me not to see him, because I don't remember him ever sitting at home. My pens, which I had enjoyed laying on the ground for many years by looking at their colors, sizes, and arrangements, and then counting them and putting them in the bag regularly, were missing every time. I was understanding that the numbers didn't match the previous ones, but I couldn't prove that it was my brother who did this. I had nervous breakdowns every time, and I was saying that one day I would definitely catch him. It was a rainy autumn day, and the house was very quiet. There was a light rain outside. The grayness of the sky was far from gloom, because at the same time, a big rainbow had appeared. The fact that there was nothing that would bother me could be considered pleasing as someone who would sit down to study. But I don't know where it came to my mind. I had wanted to see my coat pants first and then sit down for class. However, this time the same thing had happened again, and the last pen I bought had disappeared. My brother and I had such a brutal argument that finally I had made him confess and say that he took it. But what would this change? I didn't have a favorite pen. I don't know how loud our voices were during our argument that day, but I think we had infuriated our mother. She had come between us with anger, taken the pens that I had just placed them back, and thrown them into the stream behind our house, which was built for rainwaters from the Borneo Mountains to reach the sea. I remember staring at my pencils for a long time with my mouth wide open and frozen, while what I needed at that moment was to cry loudly. I had turned to stone and frozen like ice. I remember minutes later I came out of shock and cried for hours for my bullet soldiers accumulated over the years. Because underneath this intense feeling was laying the dream of hundreds of thousands of words that I would express years later. Pen and writing. It was in my nature to wield both weapons. They would be my tongue, my arm, my eyes years later. Thanks to today's advanced technology, the keys of my keyboard are enough for this dream. However, nothing can replace the sharp, colorful pens that come out of that bag. That's why pens still have so much meaning in my mind.